Welcome back. It's our final round of Swiss for our League Challenge today. Round number 4 here at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera, California. I'm Dennis Geisler. I have Pikachu with me, probably for the last time this, for this, stream for today. Probably gonna have somebody else on for Top Cut with me instead of Pikachu. Not very talkative today. Not helping out a whole lot. We've got Abhyu, Vatsavai, and Edgar Abundes in for our final round here. Both, I believe, are already eliminated from Top Cut contention, but we're going to get to see some Pokemon, and that is what we are all here to do. Got 2 Miraidon teams here. Abhyu's is Miraidon, Dugtrio, Incineroar, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Whimsicott, and Farigiraf. Edgar's is the Miraidon, along with the Iron Hands, Chi-Yu, Farigiraf, Iron Treads, and Whimsicott. So, a decent amount of crossover here. The Miraidon, the Whimsicott, the Farigiraf, all mirrored. Not the exact same sets, but all on both sides. And the Iron Treads, both have kind of interesting ground types. There's the Iron Treads, which you don't see a whole lot of, has the Steel Roller, which is a really fun tech with Miraidon, because you get to get rid of the electric terrain, Volt Switch out your Miraidon, bring it back in, Steel Roller again. It can be really fun. And against another Miraidon, there's going to be a lot of electric terrain resetting coming out. Edgar's just going to bring out the Miraidon and the Whimsicott, and Abhyu bringing out the Whimsicott, the Miraidon and the Dugtrio. I am excited about the Dugtrio. I did specifically ask to see Dugtrio in this set. I really wanted it, and I'm glad that we're getting it. I did ask for it specifically. So, we'll see how useful it ends up being. I actually do like it in this matchup because it blocks the Volt Switch from the Miraidon, it blocks it from switching out. It makes it kind of difficult for this Miraidon to actually operate too comfortably. So it could definitely put some work in here. This is a very minimal defense set to be able to go down to 1 HP and Endeavor consistently. You see the Terra, I believe that's Edgar's. I think that's Edgar's. It's certainly a Miraidon. It's certainly a Terra Fairy Miraidon. I just think it's Edgar's. Because both Miraidons do have Terra Fairy as their option, which is kind of the standard at this point. Abhyu, no Terra. It's going to be the Whimsicott Tailwind. It is the Dazzling Gleam, and that'll bring Dugtrio down to 1 HP, and actually just take out the Miraidon straight up. That was a lot of damage. That is a pretty tough start for Abhyu. And it's a Stomping Tantrum into the Miraidon. That's not exactly what you wanted. I was clearly thinking about the Endeavor early on and just didn't decide to click it. And without that, it's going to be much more difficult. The Endeavor would have brought the Miraidon down to 1 HP, put it in decent range to do some stuff. Whimsicott going for a light screen. That Edgar probably doesn't know that's not going to contribute a whole lot. It doesn't really matter. Endeavor does get off into the Miraidon, so it does bring it down to 1 HP, but this Dazzling Gleam is still going to take out the Dugtrio with a critical hit and do very good damage to the Whimsicott. It's going to be pretty difficult for Abhyu to get out of this one, to be perfectly honest. I will say, the out I see here, Edgar's Whimsicott does not have Encore. So Abhyu's Whimsicott is in a pretty easy spot to click Moonblast into Miraidon and try to finish it off like that. But, ooh, and that's also a pretty nice option, which actually might be the better way of going about things here. I'm not going to say what it is, you'll see when it comes up. But Abhyu in a tough spot here to try to work out of, but certainly not undoable. Miraidon going to switch out at 1 HP. And it's Ferropulmus, that's the Iron Hands. I like that I know that at this point. That's not Italian Iron Hands, though. I'm not sure what language that is. Certainly one of the Romance languages of Pharaoh. Good to get the Terra Water on the Urshifu here. the Surging Striker itself. Whimsicott will encore the other Whimsicott, so it'll be stuck clicking light screen until it switches out, which is a nice little chunk of priority, a little chunk of value for Abhyu. Yep, there's a light screen. Not going to do anything, because light screen's already up. A Fake Out is available for Iron Hands, although it would mean that it would just get kind of hit by an attack for free. I see a route back into this game for Abhyu, but it is perilous, I'll say that much. and that's even barring whatever the last Pokemon in the back is, which has to be Fur Giraffe, Chi-Yu, or Iron Treads. None of which are a terrible matchup, honestly. It wouldn't be terrible. I think Fur Giraffe would probably be the worst for Abhyu out of the three. Because the other two would kind of get done in. Ooh, and Whimsicott actually on such low HP that it gets taken out by the Fake Out. I didn't realize it was so low at that point. Another Whimsicott just clicking light screen, just gonna linger out there and be encored. Might as well. And the Iron Hands is not taking a whole lot of damage from the Surging Strikes. I think that's the big issue. The Surging Strikes can KO. We might be in a game. Oh, but that's not enough damage. That is just barely not enough damage. Abhyu now with the solo Tailwind, but it's not going to mean a whole lot. In all likelihood. Big thing is keeping this bear from taking too much damage to any one enemy here, but the problem is that this Whimsicott on Edgar's side, if it's able to switch out, switch back in, or just let the Encore wear off, it's going to be able to click Tailwind. One more light screen. I think that means the Encore's done now. And the Surging Strikes will take out the Iron Hands. Problem here... Well, no. Actually, no, this is still actually shockingly doable for Abhyu. Because the Miraidon's on 1 HP, and as much as the Encore is over now, the Tailwind is down as well, so Edgar can get Encore priority. Or, excuse me, Tailwind priority. But... yeah, the Miraidon has to come in here, and Miraidon will drop to Aqua Jet. So there is still a chance for Abhyu. Depends on how much this Whimsicott can do with its Moonblast more than anything else. It's going to have to set Tailwind one of the next 2 turns. In order to keep the Iron Treads comfy. Oh, the Iron Treads actually, if it's booster speed, then it will not really need the Tailwind. And so it can just be 3 attacks into Urshifu, which I don't know if Urshifu is going to take 3 attacks. Neutral Moonblast. Let's see what this does. A chunk. A solid chunk. It's Ferrodata. That's Iron Treads. And for how behind Abhyu got early on in this game, he's certainly making his way back into it, but I think this is where we're going to have to call this one. Because I think the high horsepower plus Moonblast is certainly going to get this one done. And Edgar going to take game number 1 here. Honestly, I don't think it was the fact that Dugtrio showed up that was the problem. I think it was getting hit by that Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam, Choice Specs. What's the ability? Hadron Engine boosted, like all the boosts that Miraidon gets hitting the other Miraidon. Like, going without your restricted from turn 1 is never really great. And I think Abhyu played pretty well regardless, so I wouldn't be surprised if Abhyu... I want to see Dugtrio again. I want to see Dugtrio again, of course. But I wouldn't be surprised if Abhyu went with a pretty similar team for the second game. Because it honestly worked better than it had any right to. Edgar up 1-0 now. We'll see the results as they roll in for who is getting into Top Cut. Only 4 participants in Top Cut, and it'll be, depending on the one other match, how many of the 3 ones will make it through. We'll either have one bubbling out, or all 4 4-0s and 3 1s heading through, but we'll keep you updated on that, however that turns out before the semifinals start. In any case, we've got this right now. Edgar up 1-0 after a very good turn 1 to the previous game. Abhyu, potentially with an opportunity to try to bring this one back. Going to be the same lead from Edgar, and different lead from Abhyu, actually. Exact same lead from both sides. So, 2 Hadron Engines. The question here, which Miraidon is faster? Is it both Whimsicott's Tailwind? That'll be the big question here, and Edgar will go for the Terra here. That either means that his Miraidon's faster, or they're speed tied, or Abhyu didn't click Terra, which I actually think Abhyu didn't click the Terra button. There's the Tailwind off of Edgar's side. Abhyu will match it. And now the big question, which of the dinosaurs is faster? Abhyu's will be faster in this case. A ton of damage with the Volt Switch. Not enough to KO, but that is a lot of damage. Ooh, and now Dugtrio can switch in. And that'll stop Miraidon from hard switching out. Ooh, and stops it from going for the Volt Switch. Abhyu loving that one. And that is huge, and that means the Miraidon is going to drop. It does not have a shot here. It cannot hard switch out. It is too slow to Volt Switch out. This Miraidon is done. Doesn't have Protect, can't do nothing else. This Miraidon is done for, and Abhyu is still at full HP with the Terra Preserve. Didn't even need to Terra to do it. That puts Abhyu in a really good spot at the start of this battle. What can Edgar even do at this point? Can try to, I guess, set a light screen or something with Whimsicott, but even then you don't want to get locked like Whimsicott has been. There goes the Miraidon. As was foretold, yeah, I'm not going to lock into anything but the Moonblast, and actually not going to bring Dugtrio down to Sash. Not that it matters too much, but that's how little damage the Whimsicott does. Even still, the Endeavor is going to be brutal against any of these Pokemon. And the Iron Thorns out here now, or excuse me, Treads, not Thorns. It'd be fun to see Thorns, but the Iron Treads out here now. Going to be difficult for the for Abhyu's side on the field right now to get anything done. It's going to be the Steel Roller into the Whimsicott. That'll pick up the KO and take down the Electric Terrain. Critical hit. Not sure if it mattered. Feels like it shouldn't have. It'll get rid of the terrain. Treads just has such a funny face. I like him so much. And Dugtrio does the Endeavor off onto the Iron Treads, which will bring it down to, we know, 23 HP. Which should put it well in range of Aqua Jet. We will see the final 2 now for Abhyu. The Miraidon and the Urshifu, the reliable partner. Of course it is. Urshifu's a great friend. Reliable partner, even. Hadron Engine comes back up, although Abhyu will have to be fairly careful to make sure that the Iron Treads does not Steel Roller again and get it out of the way. But in any case, I think that Abhyu's in a really good spot here in Game 2. And yeah, the Iron Treads is just going to have to switch out here. Into the Feral Palmas, the Iron Hands. Well, that Iron Hands is not really going to want to be here. about to get hit by the Terra Fairy itself. Also an Aqua Jet, but that's not going to do a whole lot of damage to it. Excuse me, although the Iron Hands does have an opportunity here, in the sense that it is, ooh, the Sunny Day. That is a fascinating choice. It's going to weaken the the Urshifu by a decent chunk. That is actually a really weird little piece of tech. Let's see if the Dazzling Gleam knocks out the Whimsicott. I think it'd actually be better for Edgar if it does, and it does. And indeed it does. Tailwinds are gone now, not that it really matters, they were matched the whole time. Now is the big question of, one, Aqua Jet still has to KO Iron Treads from this point, right? That's number one, but also, I mean, it's getting hard to imagine, like, where the Fake Out has to go for the Iron Hands here. Because you're not going to be able to knock out both these Pokemon this turn. I think you have to get rid of the Miraidon as quickly as possible. Yeah, I think this is ideal for Edgar and actually gives him a route to win this game. Steel Roller has to KO here, and it does. Steel Roller does KO, and I think that might be it. I think Edgar might take this set. Now, and the Iron Treads even took the Life Orb, the Life Orb recoil very narrowly. Quark Drives wear off. Ooh, but I forgot the Iron Hands was so low on HP. And one of the only things that Iron Hand has to take down Urshifu is Wild Charge, but if you can't get the KO, then it's going to be in a lot of danger. This is going to be a really close one. And but Iron Treads actually is going to knock itself out to recoil. So I actually think that the play is trying to attack the Iron Hands. The close combat into the Iron Hands. Yeah, I think Abhyu sees it. High horsepower. Not enough to KO. Barely not enough. That'll take out the Iron Treads in return, and now the Urshifu moves first. Or the move next, gets the close combat off, and we head to Game 3, Abhyu barely winning that one. Really well played by Edgar to try to build back after such a disastrous early turn. First two turns. Or just turn one, I guess, led into the turn two. But after such disaster at the beginning, Edgar did a great job of building back, but Abhyu ended up winning. It kind of mirrored Game 1, where Edgar had a great turn 1, Abhyu had a terrible turn 1, and Edgar ended up winning, despite Abhyu kind of slowly winning back some advantages. And this went the opposite direction, where Abhyu had an incredible turn 1 in game number 2, and made a lot happen, and at the end, I mean, it came down to a potential crit. Like, a crit on the high horsepower would have won it for Edgar. Or even a crit on the Fake Out before that. But now in game number 3, both players kind of know what each one wants to do. I mean, obviously both these are Miraidon players. They kind of know what the deal is at this point when they're each playing the Miraidon. They know what Miraidons want to go for. They know what buttons they want to click. Question is, what order do you bring your Pokemon in, and how do you deal with the other Miraidon as quickly as possible? Both Miraidons have Terra Fairy'd. Both Miraidons Terra Fairy'd in Game 2. Edgar's is Terra Fairy'd both times so far, and the only reason why Abhyu didn't Terra Fairy is because it got knocked out in turn 1 last time. We're going to mirror leads once again. Remember, a big part of the reason why Abhyu ended up winning that last game was because the Miraidon on Abhyu's side did go first out of the two. Will it happen again? If it does, Abhyu is in a great spot. If it doesn't, Edgar might take the set. Very wide range of outcomes here. If they're speed tied, this could end up coming down to that. And Edgar's just going to hard switch it out, not even going to deal with that. Ooh, and bringing in the Iron Treads, so not even going to allow itself to get hit by the Volt Switch. Assuming that a Volt Switch into that slot was the choice again, which I know that it was. We'll spoil that ahead of time. Tailwinds on either side, so that's going to be matched again. But yeah, that Volt Switch not going to go through. And I believe the Iron Treads, I think it is booster speed. I keep not actually checking. I think it is booster speed, and that'll make it kind of difficult to manage. It probably means that this Miraidon has to hard switch out right now to prevent it getting like high horsepowered and taken down. And yeah, that Miraidon will switch out into the Urshifu. That should be one of the better spots. Ooh, it's the Whimsicott switching out. So it was going to get locked into Encore either way, so it's not a big difference. But it is the Iron Hands switching in now. Let's see. Did the Treads go for the Steel Roller? Well, first the Encore, of course. Did the Treads go for the Steel Roller or the High Horsepower? It was the High Horsepower, so not going to take down the terrain. Critical hit nearly knocks out the Urshifu. Very, very close. That is a meaningful crit. Now a serious question. What do you do with these Pokemon right now? Urshifu at just 6 HP remaining. Does still have enough in the tank, though, to go for a big Surging Strikes. And, of course, a Detect for now. Fake Out goes into the Whimsicott. We'll see if it was... Oh, yeah, completely red from Edgar. Great play there, going to get it out of the way. Although, well, and this means that the terrain is down, which means that the Iron Treads no longer has the speed boost. But it also means you can't switch in Miraidon to give it back the speed boost. So you have to go into the Dugtrio here. Dugtrio has been getting some work done in these two games, and even here, Iron Hands probably would feel pretty happy switching out. Iron Treads would probably feel pretty happy switching out. Neither of them can do that right now. Both of them are at risk of getting hit pretty hard with a... with the Stomping Tantrum here. The question, though, is how fast does everyone on the field move here? How fast is Iron Treads without the speed booster? Is it fast enough to outspeed the Urshifu with both under Tailwind? We're not going to find out. The Aqua Jet's going to go through. Ooh, and the double up. It will pick up the KO. Great double there. And the low kick from the Iron Hands going to take out the Urshifu, but it got the job done. That is the number one thing it needed to get out of the way. And now, with Tailwinds down, Miraidon can come back in and start clicking Dazzling Gleam. Although it does mean if the Whimsicott comes in here, it can make an unequal Tailwind. As will happen, it looks like. And I'm curious if the Iron Hands under Tailwind is actually faster than Miraidon. I don't think it is, but... depends on how Iron Hands is trained, I suppose. And Miraidon, I suppose. I don't think the Endeavor was actually the play there. I think it was, yeah, no, I actually don't think it was the play at all there. But we'll see how this turn plays out. At this point, it is Dugtrio and Miraidon against the world, although it's just against another Miraidon and two other Pokemon that are standing right here. But gonna see that Terra for Abhyu now. That's gonna be the Terra Fairy Miraidon, I assume. Yep. Can't really not Terra it, knowing the other Miraidon is going to be around. It'll come down to some Dazzling Gleam damage and how much that this Dugtrio can take. Whimsicott does go for the Tailwind, but it should not boost the Iron Hands any faster than... yeah, there's the Endeavor. Wow, that does a ton of damage. the Endeavor did half of Iron Hands' HP bar. Whimsicott does have Sash, so it was brought to around that range. That Endeavor was from full HP. That is why Dugtrio's minimum HP. Because the Endeavor actually does half of Iron Hands' HP. And it doesn't... My goodness, this is actually, like, really, really good for Abhyu at this point. Knowing that, yeah, there's the Terra in the other direction. It'll come down, I think, to... Oh, I think Edgar is... Edgar has a lot of options with Whimsicott here. Can go for the Light Screen to have the damage, can go for the Moonblast to make it a slightly unequal matchup. Yeah, it's the Light Screen. But that's actually kind of dangerous, because Dugtrio is now going to be able to... Yeah, no, actually, the game's over. The game is actually completely over. Because Dugtrio takes the hit. Dugtrio takes the hit with Focus Sash, gets the Endeavor off onto the Miraidon, and that is the game with the Dazzling Gleam cleanup. Dugtrio, our true hero, wins the set for Abhyu. An absolutely incredible set. I talked to Abhyu beforehand of, oh hey, I would love to see the Dugtrio. I'm not going to force it, only if it really works for the matchup, only if you really like it. He's not even planning on bringing it to Atlanta at this point, and no, that put in some work. That Dugtrio absolutely got work done. That was an incredible set. Super, super fun. That had absolutely nothing to do with Top Cut. We are going to take a quick break, tabulate the results, do some team checks, and we're going to come right back with a semifinal round. Don't go anywhere.